Hey baseball player, Coach Garner here from baseballtraining.com. In this video, I want to talk to you about what you can do on your off days so that no matter what's going on, you're always working towards becoming a better baseball player. Now, on your off days, since baseball is such a high frequency activity with hitting practice, with exhibitions, with your games, with absolutely everything, you've got a lot going on. So the number one thing you got to focus on your off days is emphasizing recovery. Baseball is a sport where you can't get enough recovery, and you can just see that by the amount of injuries that happen in baseball. They're all over the place. That is almost always due to a lack of recovery and overstressing a joint or a muscle over and over and over and over and over again without emphasizing recovery. And the reason why I say emphasize recovery is because to me, recovery is an action. It's something that you have an intention to do. I know a lot of people think recovery is just absence of exercise. And although that's true, recovery should still be an action. I consider recovery to be a part of the program. Recovery is programmed into the program. So just as much as hitting practice is a part of your program, so is recovery practice. That's how I want you to think about it. Start emphasizing recovery on your off days. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, we can begin with baseball mobility. Mobility work is something I love for baseball players because it's something I consider penalty-free volume. Meaning you can perform a high volume of baseball mobility drills, but it doesn't tap into your recovery reserves like, say, a speed, agility, conditioning, weightlifting, practice, game. It doesn't tap into your recovery reserves like those do. But mobility is something baseball players need to ensure structural balance, to limit any kind of injury risk, to make sure they're optimizing their performance. This is all something that is that's big that baseball players can do on their off days, but still facilitate recovery. And in fact, if you look at some sports science literature, it suggests that active recovery is even more effective for recovery than doing nothing at all. Meaning, if you partake in some baseball mobility circuits on your non-training days, then you will actually recover faster by doing so than if you just sat on the couch and played Call of Duty all day, or sat on the couch and binge watched Netflix all day. That sounds like you'd recover more because you're doing absolutely nothing, but getting the blood flow moving, getting fatigue byproducts out of the muscle, moving around, oxygenating your body, this all seems to, when performed at a low intensity, seems to facilitate recovery even better than doing nothing at all. So baseball mobility, on your non-training days, we're already talking about something that's going to impact your speed, it's going to impact your injury risk, it's going to impact your all-round baseball performance, and yet you can do it without tapping into your recovery and perhaps even enhancing your recovery. So that's a huge one. Second one is yoga. Yoga is like mobility, but I put it kind of second tier compared to mobility because what I would encourage you to do is find some sort of a baseball specific yoga. That's really what's going to help you the most, because when you do baseball specific mobility drills, you're not doing mobility drills for the sake of being more mobile and more flexible. No, you're doing mobility drills for the sake of improving your baseball performance, because all the drills that you do are specific to what you're going to be exposed to in a game setting. Whereas yoga, depending on what class you go to, what instructor you have, what knowledge on baseball sport performance they have, it'll be good for active recovery and breath control and calming the nervous system down, bringing down your stress and improving overall mobility. But the question mark still remains as to whether that's going to have transfer over to an in-game setting if it's not baseball specific. So I like baseball mobility number one. Yoga number two, but if you can make it baseball yoga, if someone has knowledge about the different joint structures and ranges of motion and injury risks that encompass the sport of baseball, then that would be ideal. Another thing you can do on an off day is your skill work, but this needs to be performed at a really low intensity. Shouldn't be swinging the bat as hard as you can. Shouldn't be throwing the ball as hard as you can. Instead, You can do some like hand-eye coordination drills with a reaction ball, or number tracking wall drill, or any kind of, say, mental. You can do eye training as well to try and train your ability to track the ball or read the field or whatever's going on. This kind of skill work can be performed on off days and be considered penalty-free volume, but you need to auto-regulate yourself. There's too many baseball players who have an off day and then go crazy with going to the batting cages, or go crazy playing catch and end up hucking it to whoever they're playing with way too far, and ends up actually there's not a recovery day at all. So work on your skill work, but I like to recommend more mental skill work on these off days in respect to, say, reaction time. Drills like that, or tracking something. Those kind of drills are going to be best for improving your baseball performance and still allowing you to emphasize recovery. Next recommendation I have that baseball players can do on off days is to study the game. And this can be, like, you can just watch an MLB game, or you can go on YouTube and watch highlights, but change your mindset. Instead of being entertained by the game or being entertained by the highlights, study them. Study the highlights. Study the game. Where are their joint angles? Where are they moving? Where are they looking? What's the coordination pattern? What's their footwork? These are all things. What's their mindset going into it? These are all things that you can really, really get a firmer grip of if you look at it through the lens of being educated rather than look at it through the lens of being entertained. So study the game by being on YouTube, doing this, joining this baseball training YouTube channel, watching games from a sport-specific movement perspective. You could also just look at different teams if they're publishing their strategies and tactics going into games. These are all things that you can study and become a master at on your off days, and it's still going to allow you to recover. Last but not least, you have to focus on your nutrition. Nutrition is something that's really going to allow you to take your performance to the next level. If you're not meal prepping on your off days, then you're doing yourself a major disservice, because this is the day you have the most free time to get it done, so that on your training days, on your game days, on your practice days, you can seamlessly move from one event to the next while still following a baseball meal plan that supports performance and recovery specific for the sport of baseball. All right, I hope this video was able to give you a lot of different ideas and strategies that you can begin to incorporate into your off days to become a better baseball player. If you liked it, make sure you smash that thumbs up button, and also subscribe to our baseball YouTube channel. And for more information on how to improve your all-around baseball performance, check out baseballtraining.com.